I'm here with Luca and Matteo from Platformatic. Hi, Luca and Matteo. How was your talk?
Good, really good.
Yeah?
Hello, everything was great. It was very nice here at Cloud Summit.
Yes. How are you two doing today? How's your day been so far?
Early start, great. Having soon a break for daddy's duty and then back to enjoy the party with you all.
I'm so massively jet lagged that I don't know what time is it anymore.
Where'd you guys fly from?
Yeah, I fly in from Italy, so it was a long flight via Amsterdam, long.
How about you?
I live in Vancouver.
Oh, you live in
Yeah,
Vancouver.
just a few blocks away.
Okay, how does this work? Because you're co-founders and
Yeah.
you run Platformatic, but from different places in the world?
Yeah.
Is that challenging?
Well, we have been working remotely and jamming on remote collaboration since together 2016. So for us, it's kind of like daily gymnastics to run something, international. But we have two different kind of like scope within the organization. So it works like well and in different ways for each one of us.
And has it always been long distance, or did you start living in the same place?
No, I think when we met, I was living in Amsterdam and he was still in Italy. So still
okay.
we were not in the same city.
And what brought you to Vancouver?
Long story. My wife. Yeah.
That's the second one today whose wife brought them to Vancouver. Hey?
Yeah.
And did you meet in Amsterdam?
We met actually. No. We met. Me and my wife. Or
Yeah,
me and
you and your wife.
Oh no, we met. We actually met. We met on an airplane. Well, actually, we met on an airplane, and then we met physically here in Vancouver. So I met her on Tinder.
And you were swiping while you were flying.
Long story. I'm an early Tinder investor, so I've been in the company since the inception, and I was testing a new feature, and I was also single, and I matched my wife. So and I was on the plane. I still have the photo when I sent her the first text, and there was the airplane actually flying over. I think we were over the Atlantic when I met. Yeah.
Okay, well that's a story for Tinder, a success story.
highly successful. Yeah.
And how did you two meet? Also on Tinder?
No, we didn't met on Tinder, the two of us. We met in San Francisco long time, a decade ago, Luca. 2014. 2015 is a decade, 10 years.
February 2015.
So it's 10 years that we know each other, okay? Only two Italians at this conference called the Node.js Summit. And then a year later, we did a conference in Amsterdam with and then after that, he started working with the company I was working on. I was able to hire him. We worked together a few years. Then he met the love of his life, and so on. And then it's Vancouver. I don't know. Then it's your story, not mine anymore.
And how did you two celebrate 10 years together? What's 10 years? Is it paper? Yes.
No, but we started the company only
On my wife's birthday.
in 2022. So it's been a few years of working together as various companies, and then we decided to do a startup together, and then finally we started it up in 2022.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, so circling back to your actual talk, you came here and you talked. What did you talk about? Give us a little summary.
So we started talking about the problems that Node.js has when running inside Kubernetes, and what operators need to care about Node.js applications in Kubernetes, and the fact that currently all the problem that they are having is because they are not looking at the right data and the right information to make their decisions.
And then we talk about something that we launched. Matteo is heavily involved and known in the open source community. I am deeply interested in the commercial side of open source. And we actually spoke also briefly about something that we launched just today, that for the first time we actually put together Node and PHP, and we are kind of like rebuilding what we call the modern cloud primitive. We are trying to take our take on how modern applications should actually be ran inside of a containerized environment or either on bare metal. And so today we took the first, the second big step in adding PHP to our stack.
Amazing. How does that feel?
It feels old because the last time I saw PHP was probably my teenager
No way.
So, but we have been working together and helped in consultancy many Fortune 500 companies, and we were both very amazed when we went at New York Times, and the first thing that we saw in front of us was a WordPress massive installation and Node in front to kind of run the homepage. And that was the trigger for us like a few months ago when we had this crazy idea of running PHP inside of Node.js worker threads to say, damn, we saw it at the massive scale that we can think. Can we run it? Can we clone it? Can we make that possible for everyone and achievable? And so here we are, like 3 months later after a crazy idea with something that is usable for everyone.
That is amazing. So part of this interview is trying to make everything accessible for the audience back home. So can you explain what Kubernetes is?
Yeah, Kubernetes is the modern take on basically orchestrating and scaling traditional infrastructure. So you take a physical server and you need to run application, and in modern times usually you say that they are containerized, so they run on this kind of like bubble, and Kubernetes is able to take many bubbles and let them run all together and utilize all the hardware that you have to run those bubbles as efficiently as possible. Let's
Amazing.
make it simple.
Yeah, no, sounds great. And what is like one of the biggest challenges when you're scaling, and how does Kubernetes help?
I give you my take, and then Matteo can tell you probably more on the problem, the angle that we look at, right? So the problem of Kubernetes is that Kubernetes was designed to take this physical hardware, so the traditional rack, so a CPU and memory, RAM, and distribute it across all these bubbles, right? But the assumption is that every bubble needs CPU and memory, but Node is an exception. It's not the only exception, so we are opening a so-called can of worm of possibilities, but Node is different, and Matteo, maybe you can tell why that's the challenge.
The typical challenge of Node.js, running Node.js inside Kubernetes, is that you have the Kubernetes reasons about CPU, okay, CPU usage, while Node.js is based on an event loop. So the event loop means that a request arrives, okay, and then it's processing, okay. Then it waits for some more I/O database calls or HTTP calls going somewhere else, fetching some more information, and then returning, and so on and so forth. Now, the fundamental problem is it can receive a huge amount of requests, okay, and keep accepting them, even though it has no real capacity left for handling them. In a traditional model where requests are served one at a time, it blocks the CPU, is gone, okay? But that model does not scale well, okay? So Node.js can handle way more requests in that way, but on the other side, it takes a lot more effort. It can actually saturate and explodes badly, okay? And when it explodes badly, then that's why a lot of companies, we've seen a lot of companies massively over-provision their systems so that they never reach that point. But they do that because they lack the understanding of what are the problems and how to handle them, and there is a long explanation of that in the talk.
That makes total sense. And you're telling me a lot of companies are scaling, and what do you think is a common mistake that people make when they're scaling into Kubernetes?
The trigger is fear, and the result is over-provisioning, and the end result for everyone is overspending. So the major problem that we saw is basically related to over provisioning and still not fulfilling what are the customer requirements. I mean, we can name an endless number of companies, but an e-commerce, very famous e-commerce in the United States that was running 2,000 EC2 machines for their e-commerce just because things were crashing randomly, and they didn't know how to exactly provision, for volume.
Right.
To some of our customers that went from, like Matteo was saying, over provisioning like 3 times the size of what they needed just because, they needed to keep a website alive. So the issue is always that you have a poorly performing system at a very high cloud bill at the end of the month.
And we all know what that feels like, getting hit with a bill that you didn't expect, hey?
I think there is another social thing, if I can add, that nobody talks about, right? So it's very easy for cloud providers and for any company to hide even more the hidden cost of over provisioning. Is that the company has a certain budget. We are a company, we have a budget. You're working for a company that has a budget. Everyone works with money. And the equal distribution of money needs to go between employees and what needs to bring profit to the company. So the more you shift into the cost of goods sold for running your business, the less money there is for the people working there. So for us, what is the social kind of like message that we are trying to run is that with a more conscious and more green way of running Node, which is already green, in Kubernetes, we can really actually shift the economy from an economy of spending and waste to an economy of I say better utilization, and that actually benefits for the people that are working there. So we have been hearing all about the cost of tech companies nowadays with all the layoffs. And we believe that actually shifting the mindset on how we actually perceive an action on cloud cost, we can really shift completely the way we also interact with our employees. And that's kind of like our social mission is to make, to make Node great again. But for us, it's mostly to kind of like optimize Node for a better business.
Yeah. And you think all of this is suitable for people who are just starting to develop now too?
They should, because when I was a child, and probably Matteo remembers, there was a TV advertisement that says to prevent is better than to cure, right?
Yes.
And it was for a toothpaste. And I believe so. Like even junior developers, I think they needed to be exposed to the right thing of running things, because that would actually react like a chain across the whole organization. And we saw it, probably hundreds of times, seeing actually not happening.
Do you have a real world example that we could hear about?
Of
what you're talking about, of companies who started using Kubernetes and had like a better cost efficiency and could provide more for their workers.
So I can mention one, and then Matteo can mention the other one. So he's going to expose himself legally as a lawyer. One that we publicly show in our talk is Spendesk. And Spendesk tested our open source Watt. And they went, and there is a public repository where everyone can actually check it out. It's under the Spendesk GitHub organization. And Roberto just made a public talk about their experiment. Running Watt, they had a 230% reduction on their cloud utilization, because they took their services, put them inside of Watt, and already they were going faster and better and cheaper. That's just one that we wanted to share, but maybe Matteo, you want to legally expose yourself.
Thank you, Luca. Okay. Another one that we started working together not so long ago.
By the way, we can say the name.
We can't.
No, we can.
Which one? The first one? Oh, okay. So we started working with this company called Euronext in Europe. Is a financial institution that runs a lot of the financial transactions in like trades, stocks, and so on.
Yeah, the European stock.
They're a European stock backbone, and we have started working together, and they're to massively reduce with these systems, massively reduce the amount of incidents that they were suffering due to the poor performance of some of their systems. So I'm very happy about the results. The results there. The result is less. It was more about resiliency versus performance. Okay, but we all know that in most cases resiliency and performance are tightly connected anyway. So it doesn't. The two things are connected and so on.
So you two have just talked about something new that's coming from Platformatic in your talk. And what do you see for the future from here on out? What's the plan? Keep growing, keep
so
scaling?
tomorrow we are going to meet and start planning.
No, but I mean, just so PHP, the PHP support inside of Watt is the beginning of what we call the cloud primitive revolution. We just want to rewrite completely all the assumptions that were made from Docker till today in terms of running applications on infrastructure. We believe that there is a fine line that was crossed between dev and ops, and we are going to bring it back to where it belongs. So devs are going to be empowered to build applications, and they don't have to kind of like be worried about the runtime of those applications. We want to kind of like, our mission, our vision is actually to bring creativity back to the enterprise. We believe that the enterprise has been suffering an insane huge cost of what we call non-functional requirements, that they go from resiliency to auditability, you can name them, right? And we believe that has come again to the cost of developers, and we want to kind of like remove that friction. The ultimate vision that we have is to continue working on open source, because the customer that Euronext, it's fully using our open source. So there's absolutely not trouble to name them, right? Other customers are using clearly our licensed software. So it's a different story. But we want to continue in improving the open source, because we believe that with expanding Watt to become this primitive, there is something extremely big in front of us. The fact that we can, and I'm not trying to self-promote what we build, but the fact that we can take a front-end application and put them together with back-end applications, let them run together, opens this beautiful world of finally running Next in your own infrastructure without having to pay the ransom to some companies that they speculate on that, without naming them, even if they're pretty easy to spot with a triangle. And for us is that the mission is to kind of like create more value in the investment that the company made in the past. So we are going to go into this path of continuing. We're going to add support for Python to other languages, clearly. I mean, it's not a huge secret there. We are going to continue to evolve the capability of building applications. We released not so long ago the best in-class Kafka client for Node, and we're going to continue to build the best in-class Kafka client for Node, wiping out the market from Kafka.js and Node.RD Kafka. So our goal is to basically build the best-in-class tools for Node, with no doubt.
And that's a great goal to aim for.
We already prove it. We have more than 5 million downloads per month in our open source in less than a year. In 6 months, Watt crossed the 2 million downloads.
Wow.
Right. So, and if you consider the framework that Matteo wrote, Fastify, is around 7 million, 8 million per month. How many millions downloads they have? 8, probably. 8 million downloads per month, with years of work in the making and a lot of money.
That is quite an achievement.
Yeah.
And with all of this knowledge and all of this experience that you've both had, what is something that you can share with the audience watching from home? Maybe somebody just starting, what would you tell them?
To use Platformatic.
Let me take this. First, don't believe at all to all the doomsayer that says that you should not learn programming, okay, and software development, okay. It's not true, okay. You need you need to learn the tools to create things for the digital world. And those tools can take a lot of, can different forms, okay? But they're still all tools. And knowing the principles behind those tools is fundamental and critical. To understand how the things work and how the things, and what you can do with those things. So study, okay? This is the first thing. Keep studying, okay? And don't believe the doomsayers that says that the AI will eat all jobs and so on and so forth, okay? Because building software is a creative action, and if there is creativity, there is a human in the loop, involved. So be creative.
Yeah.
I mean, my message is very simple. It's probably the second what Matteo said. Don't believe to all the vibe that goes around. The real software engineering is still owned by humans, and it will always be owned by humans. We are strong, we are technologists, we have backgrounds, very strong backgrounds, academical backgrounds, and we leave vibe coding and vibe learning to the vibers. Real engineering is done with real brains. That's what I'm saying. So I think what Matteo said is extremely profound, right? Learn and don't stop learning.
Stay hungry, stay foolish?
Always. That's what I had tattoo on my.
Is it still there?
This is stay hungry, stay foolish,
yeah.
but here is there was don't settle.
Yeah.
But then I got married, and then I had to cover it.
Well, thank you guys so much. It was such a pleasure talking to you two.
Thanks a
And
lot.
this has been Luca and Matteo from Platformatic.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much.